What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
When I think about banking for life, I'm thinking about Shona and I'm thinking about our boys, and I'm thinking about our grandchildren and the support that they're providing them at their stage in their lives. And the NBS certainly is serious about that.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup, coming to you once again from the Turf Hotel. Thanks to Stan and the team. Welcome back, Les.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Our very special guest is Dan Monaghan, who's the strength and conditioning coach for the Tasman Mako, also the assistant at the Crusaders as well, I believe.
Yeah.
Right, fantastic. Nice to have you here, Dan. And can you tell us a little bit about your background to begin with? Where do you originally hail from?
Yeah. Firstly, thanks for having me here. I appreciate being on, and watched quite a few of your guys' episodes in the past, so it's cool to get on here. And
he asked us how many. I think this might be 98 or 99, Les. We're getting near 100.
Well, let's check that and have a
100
big
episodes.
celebration for 100.
That's right. Have to get a cake. Yes. Carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So originally, my family we're English, so we're from the UK. We're from a place called St Helens, big rugby league town.
Oh, yes.
We still follow that rugby league team pretty closely, and then we kind of immigrated to New Zealand in 2003, based ourselves in Palmerston North, and that's where I stayed all through high school. Palmy boys, went to Massey University there, and then 2019 just applied for an internship role with Tasman as an S&C for the NPC season. At the time I was mowing lawns for the Palmerston North Council. Got a phone call from Jimmy Holden, who was my old boss, who's now with the Highlanders, just to come down and take a punt and see what Nelson life was all about. And got to admit, at the time, I didn't even really know where Nelson was. I hadn't done a whole lot of research about where it was or what it was about, and turning up to kind of a little pocket of paradise was a nice surprise.
So obviously at Massey, you did a sports science degree?
Yep. So I did a 3-year bachelor there, and it was I was at a point where I came out of that and I was looking for a role to try and go into, and there was nothing on the market, and so I thought I'd go back for another year. So I did a postgraduate diploma, and then, same thing again, trying to find a role, and there was nothing. And so I decided to stay on and do my master's thesis for another year.
Wow. Right.
Okay.
And then came out of there and literally stumbled upon the internship, and landed in Nelson, and pretty much called Nelson home ever since. So.
Wow, how's that? So it was meant to be. The wait was meant to be.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you went on to get a master's. So, I mean, very highly qualified.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very challenging. Looking back at it now, I don't know if I could go back into study if I had to.
Yeah.
But at the time, when you're in the grind, you just keep chipping away, and it's all about waiting for an opportunity, and it's come, and it's it's been pretty awesome journey so far.
And all that learning plays out during your daily routine of making people bigger, stronger, faster?
Yeah, absolutely. It does. There's probably the side to it that the textbook doesn't teach you, which is kind of the interpersonal relationships, which is arguably the biggest part of it. But having that background and knowledge to help guide your conversations is a big part of it as well.
So St Helens being mainly rugby league, I'm thinking of Frano Boddicker, was he playing
Could have been.
when you grew up?
Maybe back in the day. My era of St Helens was Sean Long, Kieran Cunningham, Bobby Goulding was finishing as I was kind of growing up. But yeah, my family, massive St Helens supporters. We went over to the Australian Club Challenge the other year when they played in Penrith for my uncle's stag do. Awesome weekend.
Oh, wow.
Loved it. So yeah, we follow it very closely. So there's definitely rugby in the blood.
Yeah. And do you have a favourite team in the NRL?
Probably just the Wires, Everyone gets in behind the Wires. So if there's a rugby league game on in our house,
colours-wise, it would be St George, wouldn't it?
St George, yeah.
But you haven't brought yourself to
not
follow
yet,
them.
no. I only support the one Red V.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously when you get to Palmerston North, I mean, New Zealand's more dominant in rugby union. I don't know if there's a league scene in Manawatū, much of.
Not much.
So, when you went to school, Was there a call to put on the boots and give Union a go?
It was probably just it was more football for me when I was initially growing up
Yeah.
in the UK. And then when you get to New Zealand, everyone plays rugby. And so there's probably a little bit of just mucking around with kids in the schoolyard, on the field. Didn't really know what was going on. And it wasn't until maybe 6 months into being at school that I was like, oh, I'd rather do this on a Saturday morning, and signed up to the local club, and literally been with it ever since. Fell in love with the game, and it kind of took me on the journey of wanting to be a player. You know, everyone grows up wanting to be a player, and kind of as I got out of high school into the academy systems, it was probably evident that I wasn't going to go too far as a player. But how could I be in the game professionally in another way? And strength and conditioning has led me to that, and it's exposed me to some high performance environments that I probably would never have touched if I tried to, continue as a player. So it's been pretty cool to have those opportunities.
So you played in Manawatū, what, school and a bit of local club, is that right?
Yeah. So I played for Palmy Boys First 15 for a couple of years. My local club's Kia Toa, so I played for them for maybe 4 or 5 seasons before I moved to Nelson. Played a little bit of kind of development NPC team, but never really cracked it to the main squad.
Yeah, you were a competent rugby player, no doubt about that. Any names out of that Palmy era, Palmy Boys First 15, that are still on the scene or were, in NPC?
Yeah, the kind of the year before me was kind of the Ngāni Lomapi, Jackson Hamopo era, Jason Emery era. And then in my team, when we were coming through, was kind of the Jamie Booths, who was obviously a schoolboy phenomenon. Your Johnny Galloways, all those kind of guys who have gone on and played a bit of NPC footy for Manawatū. And then kind of after me, your Braden Yossies. So there's been a steady stream of good footy players through Palmy Boys, and I think it's starting to be evident now. They're pretty successful in the first 15 comps now. They just won that Super 8 competition the other day, so it's awesome to see my local school up at the top again, which is cool. So
so when you came to Nelson, so obviously you were doing the internship, but was there a want to play some local club footy as well? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so who'd you end up playing with there?
So when I came in 2019, I did a season with Waimea Old Boys, and I loved that. It was an awesome season. We had a good group of boys. That was the year that, I don't know if you remember, Liz, but we went to both finals against Marist, and both games went to 100 minutes, I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And so the first final would have been, we would have lost that game to Marist on T Park, went under lights because it went to the 100th minute. And then we went to the sub-union again at the end of the season, 100 minutes.
Yeah.
And it might have been a chip chase try in the corner to one of our Lucies or something like that won us the game, or there was something like that in extra time. And both games. That
was the start of that era. There was a handful of years where Marist and Waimea Old Boys just kept on playing these really close games. Awesome times.
Yeah, loved it. So yeah, then in 2020, after my internship had kind of finished up, there was a role that opened up over in Blenheim with Tasman Rugby. And so I moved over there, and it was kind of a half game development delivery in Blenheim, and half strength and conditioning, running a small HP group over there. And so, yeah, found myself in Blenheim, where I linked up with the Motiri Rugby Football Club for a couple of games.
Awesome.
And then the following year, ran into a bunch of guys that played for the Waitohi Club and kind of became good mates with them. And so I decided I was at the point of my career at that stage where I was like, I just want to play with mates. And
so Jimmy Giles.
Tim
O'Malley.
Yeah, Tim O'Malley was out there. Yeah, no, good bunch of lads.
That period, with that role, that you've got Tony Lewis to thank for that, don't you? He sort of decided that he could use your skills to improve some talent over there.
Yeah. Tony dreamed up a bit of a role, which I was really grateful for. I didn't really have much else going for me out of that Tasman internship. So, that was awesome to be able to continue growing in the region and building the connections I already had. I was very grateful.
And what brought you back to Nelson?
So I came back to Nelson. It would have been maybe midway through 2021 or towards the end of 21, when there was just a restructure in the strength and conditioning department. So I came over to run the Crusaders Academy that runs out of the Tasman Rugby space with the connection there, and then assist during the NPC. And Jimmy Holden, who was running both programs at the time, moved into more of a head of performance role, which had a little bit more of a overarching logistics view on the program. And so I got to work with the young athletes through the Crusaders Academy. That led on to doing a couple of campaigns with the Crusaders under-20s group as well. A couple of trips up to Taupo, a couple of successful trips, and we managed to win it a couple of years back, which was pretty awesome as well.
And who were some of the players that you helped grow their game and become stars of today?
Yeah, well, the team that probably people will recognise the names from is your Johnny Lees was playing in that 20s team, your Fletcher Andersons, Tane Himopo, kind of those young guys that are coming through as 21, 22-year-olds starting to stamp their mark on the NPC. They were the guys coming through when I was doing that 20s program. So it's awesome to see them come through the pathways into the NPC frame now, and some of them are getting time in with Super Rugby teams as well. So it's awesome to see the full journey.
Yeah, that's right. So that movement into the academy area, that started solidifying a role with Tasman Rugby, but not only that, a connection with the Crusaders as well.
Yeah.
So first of all, how did I guess a more formal role with the Tasman Mako come about?
In terms of a formal role with the Mako, I was assisting with the NPC for a while, doing the academy, and then James Holden moved on down to the Highlanders, and that's when that head strength and conditioning role opened up, and I was lucky enough to be the person that they decided to take on that role, and that's where I kind of became a fully Tasman Rugby Union not an employee, but the Mako was my focus.
Yeah.
And the HP group was my focus. And then we managed to find another young up-and-coming intern that had been in our program to take over our academy. It was Ethan Tamati Singh, has been with us for a couple of years now. And that's an awesome program that he's kind of growing while he's, growing his skill set as well. So yeah, that's where my kind of full-time Mako focus came.
And was it last season, your first season? Yeah. So how'd you find that?
Yeah, it was good, eh? It was good. I loved it.
Ramfilly Shield.
Yeah, Ramfilly Shield was awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely a career highlight, I was around when we won the NPC titles in 2019 when I was interning 2020, and they were awesome campaigns, and it was awesome to be a part of it. But it was also awesome to be in kind of a leading role.
Yeah, the boss.
When you win a major trophy like that, that was pretty special. And for it to be Tasman's first win of the Shield, there was some good celebrations afterwards. And I think it's awesome. It's kind of spurred us on to want to do it again and chase it again and do it for our region, because we obviously saw how much of an impact it had on the wider community.
Just on that, so you win against Hawke's Bay, and then you've got to defend against Wellington. So as a strength and conditioning guy, what role did you play in making sure the boys were up for that? Because most pundits at that time would have picked Wellington to beat Tasman.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. What kind of that pressure can do. It can either kind of get on top of you, or you can use it to motivate you. And I think our group did an awesome job of, we worked hard to win the Shield, and we won the Shield in the 82nd minute of a game, and it took a lot out of us. But I think as well, the boys channeled that energy really well, and they actually used that to fuel the want to defend it. There's one thing to win it for the first time, but there's another thing to defend it for the first time. And to be able to do that over at Lansdowne Park was pretty special. And I think our guys just grew. That game wasn't a perfect game for us against Wellington. We unfortunately lost Quinn Strange early, and off the top of my head, we might have lost someone else as well early. But I think the other guys stood up massively, and they were playing for kind of more than just themselves. It was a real community game, and the crowd got us over the line as well there too. And
I mean, knowing the fact that there were guys there from the 70s when, that must have been a bit of motivation in front of them.
Yeah, Raymond Sutherland, of course, was there watching that game, so he'd be hugely proud, and all of his old teammates.
Yeah,
but it is a good point, because it's about that attrition, and you kind of felt that by the time they got to Canterbury, it was such a tough campaign, and Canterbury really turned it on that day. And
in the quarterfinal,
maybe the steam had run out a bit. And I guess that's a challenge with each big game you've got to get the boys up for, is that attrition, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the way that the NPC was formatted previously with the Storm Week, that took a bit out of us last year.
Yeah, did you no favours at all, did it?
I think the boys did a pretty amazing job. We defended the Shield, and then we sent quite a young local team down to that Otago game, and those boys were amazing. They did us all very proud in that game. And then to have to defend the Shield on the Wednesday against Auckland, and then back it up against Taranaki on the Sunday was tough. And all we can do there is try to get the bodies as ready as we can to go out and fight again. And then rolling into a 6-day turnaround into a quarterfinal against Canterbury. It was just an unfortunate draw for us that I think did it. At that time of the year, if we were always back in the day crossing our fingers that we get Storm Week early in the year when you've got a full squad, you can rotate players, injuries are less of a concern. But yeah, it just fell at a bad time for us last year, and it's not to make excuses or anything like that, but playing 4 big games in what was probably a 15-day period was pretty tough.
I think you can be really proud, Dan, because the boys did get up against Wellington, and they really did get up against Auckland. And then, the Taranaki game, as you say, the 4th game in a short period of time, just a bridge too far. And no other team, I don't think, could survive Storm Week and the Shield to defend also. So, it was any other time we would have kept that log of wood for summer, but it was fascinating to watch the effort that the boys put in. And I remember watching against Wellington, mate, the bruising that went on, but it wasn't just us, it was them. I saw Ruben Love just limp off. He'd been hit so hard so often, he had to take an early break.
Yeah, that was a tough game. That was a big game. Running wise, there was periods of open play that took a bit out of them, and the collision in that game definitely stepped up a level. So that'd be up there as probably one of the most physically taxing games that I've been a part of in an NPC game anyway. So,
and then along the road, you end up in the Crusaders camp. So how did that come about?
Yeah, so that came about. Obviously, I've had the connection with the Crusaders through the academy for a wee while. I've done the Crusaders under-20s program for 3 or 4 seasons at that stage, and a role appeared online advertising for a strength and conditioning coach to take over the rehabilitation space. So it's a role that they'd never had previously, but it's something that came out of their review the year before that they felt that they needed to ensure that the guys who weren't playing and were rehabbing at the time had the adequate care so that they could return to performance once they got out the back end of their rehab. So just applied, put my name in the ring, lucky enough to get an interview, and then lucky enough to land the role, which was awesome for me. So I ended up down there in November last year, been with them since the start of that pre-season block, and just developing the space. They hadn't had anyone in that space before, so kind of being able to make that space a little bit of my own and tap into some of the other resources that they've got there was pretty special. Their program's all about high performance and winning rugby games, and so it's slightly different to NPC, where it's about connecting our community, promoting local players, all of that kind of stuff, where their sole purpose is to win footy games. And so just a different level of resource that they've got available for that was pretty cool. It was an eye-opening experience, but loved it.
And a great season too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty special.
A turnaround season. Really,
yeah. And it wasn't I think the best part about it was that it wasn't a perfect season. Like it would have been a different story if it was, coming from what they'd had the year before and then coming back to being, an unbeatable team again. But I think the fact that the group had to work for it and they had to earn it, and it was won, and the way it was won was very Crusader-like. It was almost like they found their DNA again.
Yeah.
You would have seen firsthand the leadership skills that David Havili brought to the Crusaders group. Can you comment on that? What's his style, and how does he gel a bunch of men who are all very proficient rugby players?
Yeah. So I've been lucky enough to know Dave for a while now, and ever since I've known him, his leadership style has been very much leads by his actions. Something that I noticed when he took on the Crusaders role was that he's the first in the building and the last out of it every day, even on his day off. He's invested in everything, but he also trusts his other leaders. He leans heavily on the guys that he puts around him, and he's got those guys there for a reason. And so he leads by his actions, and he makes sure that he's got the right people in his corner that he can lean on, that he can trust to take some of the weight as well. And it's pretty special when your leader's the last guy off the field doing extras, and the rest of the group are seeing that, and it's kind of they learn it through osmosis, and before you know it, the whole team's got that competitive edge, trying to be better. And I reckon he's definitely an awesome leader, and probably one of the best ones I've seen go around in my time here anyway. He's a pretty special guy.
Take us through a routine of your week as a strength and conditioning coach. So obviously it's, the game's done. What happens then? Because presumably as soon as that whistle goes, your work begins. Is that right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. So a lot of it's dictated on when our next game is. And so if we've got a 7-day turnaround means that we've played on a Saturday and we're going to play again on the next Saturday. That affects our week structure a little bit. So pretty much after a game, it's kind of collating the information from the game. They all wear GPS trackers. So it's kind of downloading that information, figuring out where guys are at heading into a new week, who are the guys that we need to look after a little bit. I've had a big workload. Who are the guys that we can push a little bit more through the start of the week? And then it all comes down to kind of planning and prepping for the next week. So our day one, we'll get through a bit of most of the group will do a lower body lift in the gym, get themselves moving well again. We'll have a bit of injury clinic. So that's figuring out anyone who's got new bumps or bruises or anything that we need to consider heading into a new week. And then day one's all about kind of clarity and installing new rugby plays or going over anything that's going to contribute towards the weekend and how we want to play. And that's at a bit of a lower speed. We're still recovering on that day. The next day we head into a day two, which is our bigger training day for the week. So by that stage, we're kind of 72 hours post-game. The boys have recovered pretty well. So we ramp things up. We go pretty hard, pretty fast on that day. That'd be our big training day of the week. And then the next day, the boys would have a day off before we get into what we call our kind of game simulated training day. And that's everything about that day is about being fast, efficient, moving well. So that's right through from our gym programming on that day is all about power, expression, rate of force development. When we're on the grass training, everything's high speed. We're transitioning between drills at a fast pace on and off the grass in 75, 80 minutes. And that's all to do with kind of 48 hours out of a game. We're going to have to recover well. And that's giving them the exposure they need without overdoing them so that they can perform on Saturday. And then from that point onwards, the learning's done, the physical prep's done. They go through a captain's run, which is about an hour-long on-field session at a very light pace the day before a game. And then it's time to start setting guys up to perform. Start thinking about hydration, acute recovery strategies, getting guys on a plane, thinking about travel, logistics, and then just getting them ready to perform again the next day. So presumably straight after the game, I mean, you say you're downloading the data, but also presumably you're trying to identify injury pretty quickly after a game because getting the ice on and getting the recovery happening as soon as possible. Is that right? Yep. We've got a pretty awesome medical team, and they're pretty switched on around that area. But by the time we walk out of the sheds, we've already got our 5 to 6 guys who are our key guys that we've got to get right in the next kind of 24, 48 hours. They'll do a bit more of a detailed injury clinic the next day. And so by midday, the next day, we've got a full rundown of where where everyone in our squad is in terms of their running load, their contact load, their injury status, their week plan, how we're going to turn them around and get them ready to play the next week. So that kind of 24 to 48 hours post game was quite a few moving parts. Just to try and get the information as early as we can. Make the best plans for the athletes, because they've got to turn around and play again in 7 days' time. And everyone's plan sometimes looks a bit different, but it's all about having the best version of each player come game day.
And is food part of your role as well, or do you work with someone on that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's at NPC level. It's a bit more my role to make sure that they're getting the right fuel on board. We've got a nutritionist that we tap into, James, who's awesome in his space, but the resource at NPC is a little bit less, so he does a little bit more work with key guys that might need some help outside of our environment. And that's across a range of things. Like that might be guys who are trying to just tweak the last few things in terms of their body comp. It could be a couple of guys who are feeling a bit energy poor on the field, and how can we help them nutritionally to make sure that they've got enough fuel in the tank. Could be guys trying to put on some muscle mass. When you go to super level, there's a nutritionist that's kind of full-time with us, and that's a massive part of their role is team meal planning, food recovery strategies in the shed straight after a game. So yeah, it's a resource thing at NPC level, but my job is definitely to make sure the team recovers well, and a big part of that is food, making sure they're putting the right things on the plate straight after a game, making sure they've got energy available to them to recover. But yeah.
Full on. And that combination of group and individual. So you've got to get the whole team going, but it sounds very much like each player has their own individual plan as well. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, it's tricky. There's a couple moving parts but going on. I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that the data can tell you so much, but it's your ability to communicate with the player and actually figure out how they're feeling through conversation that tells you the most. The data can tell you that someone's fatigued and sore and tired, and then you talk to them and they're actually, I feel sweet, you know what I mean? So you got to be able to interpret the data, but also have conversations as well, and that helps direct your plan for the week for them.
So you're pretty much catching up with individually, having conversations with each player.
Yeah. I think it's if you look at it, it's easy to do if you're genuine with your connection. So my strategy is that I go and I connect with someone, and the first minute that I talk to someone, I don't talk about rugby, I don't talk about how the way they feel or nothing. It's how's your weekend? What'd you get up to? Where'd you go for breakfast? What'd you do? Blah, 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 blah. In the last 30 seconds of my conversation with you might be, how's your body? How's that elbow tracking? What do you feel about this week coming up? And that's where you get the gold. But they don't see that as me just going around surveying everyone.
No, because I mean, they'd probably run away with you if they knew that they had too many chocolates. The next day or something, they'd hide from you.
But speaking of nutrition, the difference between forwards and backs, I notice they have a team lunch in our club rooms, and I notice that the forwards can pile on a pretty big plate of protein, and the backs can be sparrows. Is that true?
It is.
Well, they look at Lester. He's a big man.
He is.
He's an impressive athlete, that guy. I think a lot of
everyone's different.
Game day nutrition. There is perfect practice, and then there's individual preference, and part of the science of it is finding the balance. Some guys prefer to play with a little bit more food in their tummy. Some guys prefer to play with a little less food in their tummy. So then it's our job to identify who those guys are and how we're going to get energy into them. For example, some of your faster outside backs might not like running at top speed with too much going on in their tummy. So it's like, how do we supplement that? We've got carb shots. We've got drinks that guys can have that are high calorie drinks. That's going to help with their energy expenditure, but it's not going to feel like they're carrying the heavy stomach. So it's just getting the balance right and trying to treat each athlete slightly differently.
Yeah. Well, to think of it, I was watching the Manawatū game on the sideline. There was a medic, and he's like 7 foot tall. And I was thinking, I don't know who that is. Has anyone talked to him about playing lock? Because
Our doctor.
Well, it just had medic on his back, and he was.
Yeah, that'd be our Dr. Nick Dewa. He works out of Tahoon Medical Centre.
He's huge, isn't he?
He's tall,
but he's no lock, mate.
Didn't play for the Giants at any point. No basketball player.
So. I haven't seen his level of coordination.
But you might have to give him a trial run.
I can test it out for you.
I was thinking someone needs to hire that man. He's a big unit.
You're a talent spotter now, Chris.
It must have been pretty cool watching the game on Saturday against Manawatū. A few guys in that Manawatū
there's
squad.
A couple. Braden Yossi, been close friends with him for quite a while now. Best mates with his older brother. So I've known Braden since he was about 7 or 8 years old, maybe. Winning player of the day tournaments at his rugby tournaments he'd go to and all that. So that's a cool journey to have watched.
Yeah.
Another couple of guys. Flynn Yates was coming through Palmy Boys and I was there. I know Nani through just mutual friends in the rugby scene. We both played for Kiotoa. So, and then there's a couple of their coaching staff. Blair Van Stiprium was my first 15 coach. He's now the backs coach for Manawatū. Masuja, who is now their manager, was involved with Varsity, who was one of our close rivals in the club scene up there. So there is a connection to Manawatū there, and there always will be. But my loyalty's live with Tasman now.
That's good. All right, there's the hard question.
Yes.
So do we want to take them through some quick fires?
Yeah, so in our squad, the fastest over 100.
Fastest guy over 100 metres would be a young player. He plays club rugby for Nelson. He's perhaps not quite as well known as some of the big superstars, but he would absolutely win the 100-metre races. Brodie Robinson.
Right.
Oh, that name.
So Brodie's got mum and dad up in the Waikato.
Yeah, right.
And he's also one of the sparrows when it comes to having lunch earlier in the week. So, but he's lightning. I saw him play for Nelson. He is quick.
He is rapid. Speed's his point of difference.
Yeah.
He is, if you can put him in space with the
Have you put a stopwatch on him? Do you know how quick?
I haven't put a stopwatch on him over 100. But I think his top speed, he might have breached into the 37s this year, and that's quick.
That's quick.
Yeah.
Well, nice to see.
Strongest guy, and let's use the bench press as an indicator.
Strongest guy in our current squad. The strongest guy. It's hard to look past probably our front row. Kershaw Sykes Martin's got a good bench. Ryan Coxon's got a good bench. All the guys you'd expect. There's a player that plays over in Blenheim, or it might have been in Mercy, Quinn Harrison-Jones.
Yes.
He's been involved with us in the past. He's got a ridiculous bench, he could be a powerlifter. I think it's upwards of 190 kilos, which you don't see very often on a bench press, so that's quite impressive when that goes up. But it's your typical front rowers.
Luca Inch was one of those in the past, wasn't he? He was really strong.
Yeah, it's strong. If you're looking at strength to weight ratios, someone like Noah Hotham, I think he's got 155 kilo bench press. He's about 97 kilos. For his weight, he can push a lot. There's some impressive athletes across the squad.
And Ryan still leading the golf tournament?
Ryan's probably the handiest golfer in the squad. Yeah, very good. I think they might be out there today, actually.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you be on a day like this? Last but not least, and we know Ethan is an amazing athlete and big engine, but next to Ethan, who has the Mako work rate that really impresses you?
I think the Lucy's obviously get a lot of credit for the amount of work they get through. They've got a big collision load, they've got a big running load. Someone like Fletcher Anderson on the weekend led our team in collision load and was maybe second in running load, which is pretty impressive.
And scored a try.
First Mako try.
First Mako.
Oh, is that his first?
The first time.
Was that right?
Which was pretty
cool.
Well,
he went pretty close last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, right.
But I think guys that get overlooked a little bit, our outside backs cover a lot of ground. Someone like your Tane Robinson, your Mason Lund at halfback, your Kyron's covered a lot of ground this year. Those guys just go all day. And a lot of that work's not seen. It's the background showing different pictures. It's the work rate to get from one side of the field to the other side of the field and potentially not get a touch of the ball. But what it creates for other players is pretty important too. So, our outside backs cover some ground. They got big engines.
Geez, an important role, isn't it, Les?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
the coach must rely on you. I mean, he's got to do the tactical, but you got to get these guys going. So I don't think you realise the detail that you have to. It's quite a full on job, isn't it?
Well, it's science, isn't it? And it's let's call it humanity. You know, the ability to converse with a guy and get the best knowledge info out of them. But the science is second to none.
Yeah, it does play a pretty big role. I think the hard part is probably getting the balance between obviously rugby's number one, and then trying to freshen them up so that they can perform. We're pretty lucky, like we've got 23 to 24 Super Rugby players in our squad, so they turn up to us pretty tuned up, ready to go. You know, rugby's in their blood by the time they get to us. So it's more about what do they need to be the best versions of themselves for that kind of 13-week period that they're in Nelson performing for us. And yeah, it's by that stage, it's normally the 1% things that can make the biggest difference. So,
one guy who impressed me at super level with his work rate was Antonio Chalfoun. You know, just the number of times he made tackles, got up off the ground, got back, made another tackle. Is he far away from the Mako?
No, so Antonio's not too far away at all, actually. He's next 2 to 3 weeks. I reckon we'd probably see a little cameo for him.
That'd be awesome because he's a good lock.
Yeah,
he's very good. He's probably someone like Fletcher, gets through a lot of unseen work, hits a lot of rucks, does a lot of dirty work, cleans a lot of rucks. You know, it's he's got a big future ahead of him, I reckon.
great insight, Dan. We appreciate that. But you're going to stick around with us because we've got some footy to get through, and we'll whip through the Farah Palmer Cup. It was the first round, and Auckland 31 over Waikato 28, Taranaki 17, Northland women 48. So they've got a very strong side this year. Wellington Pride 39 over Tasman 7. And I just caught the last 15 minutes, and that's when Tasman started turning it on. They had a good attack and they burst through and a great run through a gap and scored. But Wellington Pride obviously just
I don't think Latoya Mason would be upset.
No.
Because Wellington are a strong team in FPC. They've got so many clubs, so many players to choose from. And to hold them to 39-7, I think it's a pretty good effort.
That's
and
what
it was pretty close at half time too.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that was a commendable score.
For a young local group, they put in a commendable effort. Well done, team.
Yeah, good stuff. And we'll talk about what they've got coming up. Counties Monaco 88 over Bay of Plenty. Wow. Canterbury 44 over Manawatū 5 and Otago Spirit. Geez, that was a close one. 34-33 over North Harbour. And this coming weekend, we've got the Bay of Plenty taking on the Manawatū Cyclones in Tauranga. We've got North Harbour taking on Taranaki at the North Harbour Stadium. We've got Hawke's Bay taking on Canterbury. That'll be a good game at McLean Park. And then the Mako Women FPC team heading up to take on the Northland Women. That's 4:35 at, is it Seminoff Stadium? Is that
correct?
Properly. So, does that strength and conditioning cross over a little bit with FPC? They've obviously got someone that they work with, but do you guys sort of swap notes or talk to each other?
We do in passing a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
There are obviously two programs that run at slightly different times of the day. So it can be tricky at times, but they use all of our same facilities, so we will cross over pass.
So who is the S&C?
Jordan Matthews
is
the FBC trainer. So he started maybe at the start of this year when I was away down south. So probably haven't had too much time to connect together.
He's just not a name that I know, but he's got them reasonably fit. Interestingly, that game at 4:35 that follows the NPC game.
Yeah, right.
At 2:05 p.m.
So another double header. Great. Yeah. So we wish the girls all the best. It looks as though they've got a good start, and it seems like a good team spirit. So we wish them all the best, and hopefully we get someone in from the Tasman Mako women shortly. On Sunday, Wellington are taking on Otago and the Waikato women are taking on Counties Monaco. For the results from the Bunnings NPC and I watched this game actually, Northland versus Southland. That was a great game. It was to and fro. It was like Northland kind of dominated, then Southland would return, and it wasn't till probably the last 10 minutes Southland got over top. So that was a great game. North Harbour 24, Taranaki doing it 46. They were strong this year. Waikato 24, Wellington 35, so they're back on winning ways. We'll come back to the Tasman game, but Canterbury just over Auckland 19-15, and Canterbury were behind, weren't they? At one point, that was a comeback.
It was a heck of a game. And you could see on Anton Zegner's face at the end he was gutted to have lost this one, because it was anyone's game. They both played tremendously, I thought.
The Tasman game, I thought a great first half. It was a strong first half, a dominant first half. Obviously, we talked to Gray last week about getting back on the bus and, fixing the things. But then there was a moment in the second half, I was starting to feel a little bit nervous because Manawatū came back with a storm, and I think we had made a few changes as well. We were starting to put a few subs on, and they scored maybe 2 or 3 times. And I was thinking, geez, if it carries on like this, but the guys kind of rallied in the second half of that second half and managed to get a couple more back on. Yeah. So it was nervous times in the start of the second half.
Yeah, the game got a little bit open and perhaps a little bit inaccurate, and they had a little bit of momentum first half there. So it was nice for us to kind of regain control, get a bit of momentum back, and put kind of 2 tries in at the end there to kind of help us steal it off and move on.
Line.
Yeah.
Andy's scoreline. Yeah. Are you on the park? Are you wearing a vest and running around out there?
In away games, I'll get on the park. Home games, we've got Tom Marshall, who's our backs coach, and Quinton McDonald, who stepped into a bit of a hybrid coach/play role this year. He'll jump on the field and be that kind of voice for the forwards.
Yes.
It just gives us a bit of balance.
But at away games, we see you out there.
Yeah.
I thought that your standouts for this game, I really enjoyed the lock, Lopetti Bilifua. I think I've got that right now. He was awesome.
Yep.
New fellow in town from the force, but he put in a big shift and scored his first try too and threw up a fin. Good man.
Yeah, he's going good.
And your back row was pretty solid.
Yeah. They're a good combo, those 3 boys.
They're players you mentioned, Johnny Lee, who played at 6. He's in that wider Crusaders group, and Fletcher Anderson. Very, very good outing.
No, they're pretty special, those 2, and they're still very young too, so there's a lot of growth for them still. I think Johnny be maybe 21, 22, and Fletcher's probably not too much older than that too. So they've still got a long way to go.
Well, it's only a couple of years ago Johnny Lee captained New Zealand under-20s, wasn't it?
Yeah, so, 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah. So this is a good back row, and you've got Ethan in there at 6.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a solid back row, and they perform very well. Who impressed you in the backs?
In the backs, I think Willie Havili was good at fullback. It was good to see him get a good amount of game time out there. I think Levi Amua's actually been playing really well.
Yeah, he actually did. I thought he played well on the weekend.
And then there was the magic man, Lester Whanganui.
It's hard to look past Lester, isn't it? He just makes things happen around him, like kick chasing that penalty that didn't go out. It's a try that's built on work rate and just being in the right place and then finishing off. He's a big man out there to stop when he gets going.
The crowd loved it every time he got near the ball or touched the ball, didn't they?
Yeah.
The murmurs went up, the cheers started going up. It was great. Good atmosphere, by the way, in general.
And in that second half also, I thought Gray, he polled on the young players. I mean, there was a few that came off. I noticed David came off. I don't know whether he was feeling a bit poorly or what have you. But, towards the end of that second half, it was quite a young side, wasn't it? And impressed with the halfback. I thought he ran a good shot.
Mitchell Drummond.
Yeah. No, it was
Mason.
Was it Mason that came on? Was that right? Yeah.
No, it's good. It's always nice to get those guys a couple of minutes and to get some game time under their belt. And they'll be kind of guys that through the back end of the season you'll lean on a little bit to take some load off as we start to get through into the busier time of the season. So it's nice to have some experience.
And your young hooker, Eli Odenman.
Yeah,
he played well, didn't he?
Yeah. He's It looks like he might be a bit of a character too. Has he got a good personality?
Yeah, he is. He's a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he knows how to get the balance right. And
yes.
He's a pretty switched on young footballer, and he's got a long way to go as well. You know, he played New Zealand 20s this year as a front row, and
yeah, that's right.
Played 2 NPC games now and played pretty well.
Didn't look out of place, did he?
Yeah. Just another couple of quick results. Bay of Plenty 39, certainly strong this year over Counties Mako 22, and the Mighty Hawke's Bay doing it over Otago 27-21. The lineup, and this is where we just do quick picks here, Dan. So on Friday, Southland take on Manawatū at Invercargill Rugby Park. And Southland, they only just got beaten by Northland. I thought they played some patches of good rugby.
Yeah.
And Manawatū will be licking their wounds.
Yeah, I think
he's not going to go past Manawatū, is he?
I'll go with Manawatū. I'll go with Manawatū.
That was a loaded question.
If it opens up, Manawatū are pretty good in broken play.
Yes,
it has the potential between those two teams, so I'll go with Manawatū for that one.
Okay, Bay of Plenty versus Canterbury, Les.
Yeah, well, it's
big game.
It is a big game. Two outstanding teams. Look, it's hard to tip against Canterbury, but Bay of Plenty at home, Tauranga Domain. I'll think them maybe 7 under.
Auckland versus Taranaki. It is at Eden Park, but geez, didn't Taranaki look good twice in 2 weeks? They've just been quite strong, haven't they?
Yep, I'll tip Taranaki there. I think they'll be a top team come the end of the season. And
Auckland just don't seem to fire an NPC. They have patches, don't they? But
takes them a while to build into the year, into the season, I think.
And then Hawke's Bay taking on North Harbour. That's at McLean Park. We thought maybe North Harbour, might be. We're always waiting to see a strong North Harbour side, aren't we? They've got the talent, but they just don't seem to fire. 2 losses. And then they come up against Hawke's Bay at McLean Park.
Hawke's Bay is one of my teams to beat in this comp. I think Bay of Plenty and Hawke's Bay are 2 very, very strong squads along with our own and a couple other unions, but I'll pick Hawke's Bay to win this one at McLean Park.
Wellington versus Otago at Porirua Park. So Porirua Park, the home for Wellington now, pretty much.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've moved from the Cape Town.
It's good to see, isn't it?
Yeah. What do you reckon, Dan?
Wellington will be too good, I think. As a squad, they got a lot of depth. So I think they should get the job done there.
Waikato against Counties Mako coming off a loss, so they'll be keen to rectify that. That is in Waikato.
Yeah, what do you think, Chris?
I think Waikato will do it at home.
There you go.
Too strong. And then, of course, Northland versus Tasman at Seminoff Stadium. So...
Right, we got the meeting. We got the meeting. The teams get named in about 2 hours. So tell us who's in, who's out. Can you tell us anything?
I don't know. I'd hate to say too much.
He's going to get
no. But this has gone to air after the teams. So I noticed in the very last play of the game, Mason Lund came off with what he was very sore, and I now understand it's a torn hamstring.
Correct.
So that means a new number 2 halfback. Any indication there on who that will be?
Without getting myself in trouble and saying too much, you'll be happy to know who that halfback will be.
Thank you. Thank you. Will Thornelli from Marriott is going to get a bit of a run.
He didn't say that.
No, but like I say, this will be, you'll come out on Friday and the teams are named. So congratulations, Will. I know he's tried really hard. Yeah. And he's a very humble kid in some ways and very outspoken in others. Yeah. On the grass, he's quite outspoken. On the off the field, he's a good kid. And he said that his ambition for next year was to make the Mako. Well, he's done it a season early. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
It only goes to show, isn't it, that if you are a good player and you're playing in our club rugby and you aspire to a higher level, you're only an injury or 2 away. Or from getting a gig. So
that's right. That's good.
You just got to stick in there, eh? And have a crack. Any other injuries, or is it pretty much a settled side?
It's pretty settled. Couple of backline changes.
I noticed David getting taken off, but it was just got a bit of a knock, did he? Or
no, Dave's was more just overall health kind of. He had a bit going on.
Right.
you know, bit
So he's back?
bit of viral stuff, but he's
right.
over the top of that now. So
Yeah.
he'll be back. Leicester will shift into the midfield. You know, we'll see a new backline that I think will excite the fans. I think that'll be quite an attacking style backline, which is good. Pretty settled squad. We've been up to Northland in the past, and they've tested us a few times up there. So we'll be sending a strong team to try and get it.
They played a fast pace. I mean, both sides threw it around up there. They were prepared to throw the ball around. So that's definitely the Taniwha will be throwing the ball around and giving a good shot. But I do wonder whether the Mako are just going to be too strong right across the core squad.
Yeah, well, I think they'll get a win.
Yeah.
I really do. I expect that they will be too strong across the park, but you're going to have to work hard for a long period of time to overcome this Northland side. You know, they've got some strength in the forwards and with their rolling ball, and you're going to have to knuckle down for a long period of time, but the win should come, I would think.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Hope so.
Good luck to the boys. So that is 2:05 kickoff Saturday afternoon. Just a mention of the All Blacks, obviously taking on Argentina. It's finally here, just about a month break. I noticed that they went and sort of local football match. I've forgotten the name of the team now, but they got involved in the atmosphere there.
Good.
But yes, Argentina versus the All Black. 9:10 New Zealand time
in the morning.
So
it's a great viewing Sunday morning.
Oh, so get up for breakfast and
absolute. It is top notch. And then watch the Springboks and the Aussies running around earlier in the night. They play at about 3:10 a.m. So you can watch that on a replay.
Oh, you'll replay.
Yeah,
you'll record it. So we don't know the squad.
No.
Any surprises there? Like the rumour mill is that Satiti's still injured.
Yeah, he's not playing.
So the new guy, is it Parker?
Simon Parker might get a run.
He might get a run from Northland.
He's a big man, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is a big unit.
Yeah. So are we going to do it comfortably, or is Argentina going to turn it on?
No, I don't think you get comfortable test wins anymore. No. You got to work really hard. It'll be a contest, but you know, it's kind of like, let's hope the All Blacks get a win.
Yeah. No surprises. You'll see any major surprises. Will Will Jordan be fullback, or?
God, I hope so.
Ruben Love will be on the bench.
I hope Will Jordan's picked as a fullback. I think it's his best position.
Barrett's got 10. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So it might be a new loose forward. That's about it.
Yeah, Simon
probably.
Parker, perhaps. Scott Barrett's back, so who's his locking partner?
Be interesting to see.
It's got to be favourite.
Yeah, well, so
so what do they do at Tuipulotu? Put him on the bench.
Right.
Interesting to see what they do at halfback.
Yeah.
Obviously with Noah going down.
Yeah.
Who slots into that backup halfback role.
Yeah.
I assume Cortez would start.
Yeah.
If Finlay gets in there straight away, or if...
Yeah, I don't think so. I think you're right. Cortez will get the start. It's whether or not he makes when Finlay makes the bench. I think so. I think so, but you never know.
Well, two different types of halfbacks to be on the bench, isn't it? You know, you've got the great defensive qualities of Finlay, and you've got the kicking game of Kyle Preston. So, yeah, it gives us an opportunity. When the team's name, we just see where Scott's thinking.
Yep. All right. Just quickly looking over the Miles Toyota First 15 Boys Championship finals, and unfortunately, there's no result. Christchurch Boys High School second 15 were meant to be taking on Waimea combined first 15, and all the other results were there, but not that one. So it just makes me wonder either someone forgot to ring in the results, or it was deferred or defaulted or postponed. So not too sure what's going on there. But in the premiership, it was a comprehensive win in the final. Christchurch Boys High School 52-0 over Christ College. So don't really know either Christchurch Boys High School were really on a roll, or Christ just didn't. And it was a particularly muddy.
Yeah, I was going to say the
match,
weather weather was poor.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, Marlborough Boys will be kicking themselves that they lost to Christ College in that semi-final, because I think they would have given Christchurch Boys High a much better encounter in the final. But wasn't to be, and Marlborough Boys College, of course, overcame Nelson College 31-21. So
Yeah, that's
they
right.
do get the bragging rights for the top of the South and keep the Whangamā Cup.
Just quickly, we'll go through the Motorworld Marlborough Senior A result.
Well, we got a Motorworld Marlborough player here.
That's right, inside knowledge. Awatiri Senior 25 over the Harlequins 12. Waitohi Senior 53 over Motiri Senior, so divided loyalties there. And Senior, Central Senior 43 over Pelorus, 43-0 over Pelorus Havelock. So the lineup for this week, quick picks here. Central's taking on Awatiri. Dan? Lansdowne Park 115.
It's a close game.
Yeah.
3 versus 4. That's the match of the round, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know. Central have normally got a good Senior A team, so I think that'd be my safe pick, but it'll be a tight one.
Arua Park, Muteri Senior take on Pelorus Havelock. So that's 5th and 7th.
Yeah, I'm going with Motory there. Arua Park, Spring Creek, the black and whites.
And Endeavour Park, Waitohi Senior A taking on Renwick. So Waitohi top of the table and Renwick second. So that's 1 and 2. That'll be a good game.
Yeah, I'll pick my Waitohi boys there.
Yeah. Do you know any of the players still?
I'm trying to think. I think Dylan Burns still playing. Tiari. Who else we got? I think some of the boys might have moved on from my time. I don't know if Luke Burgeson's still playing, but those boys, Jimmy Giles, I'm pretty sure has probably got the boots on running around still.
Well, he's president, secretary, bottle washer, player. He's absolutely a great club man, Jimmy Giles.
Yeah. All right, good luck to them this weekend. Thank you very much, Dan. Great insight into what you do, and we wish you and the boys all the best for the game in Northland. And please pass our best wishes on to Latour and the girls as well. They'll be out there as well. Good luck to them. Hopefully they'll get the goods. Thank you, Les.
I'm up there too.
Are you going?
Yeah. So you remember Peter Vandenbogart? He was finance manager of the union. We're taking our better halves there for our annual away games. So look forward to seeing you at the afternoon.
Look forward to it.
No, hopefully the weather's good up there. Thank you very much. A big shout out to Stan and the team from the Turf Hotel. Don't forget to check out their Facebook page for everything that's on this weekend. You can catch this and other podcasts on MBS Talk Nelson website, Facebook and Instagram. We're on Spotify, YouTube, and MBS Talk Nelson Digital Radio. Don't forget, if you want to plug what's happening in your rugby, get in touch with us. We're happy to have you on the show, and also any sponsors that want to get involved. That's a wrap, and we'll see you next week for another episode of the Mako Rugby Roundup.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.